Understanding the experiences of suspension and expulsion from early childhood education settings. Parents' perspectives. By V.F. Wood, L. Meyer, and K. Northey. What did we learn? We learned that children with disabilities are at increased risk of being suspended or expelled from their early childhood education settings. Many families and their children are not receiving any support or services in these settings, despite their need for them. Why does it matter? Those with lived experience have an important form of expertise that should be included in quality improvement projects. In this project, parents' experiences provided evidence for the set of recommendations that were put forth to the State of Vermont to improve the early childhood education system for children with disabilities. Introduction. The State of Vermont received federal funding to improve their early childhood education system, or ECE. The ECE system in Vermont includes care and education for children ages 0 to 5. Families can access the ECE system through publicly funded pre-K, Head Start, and child care centers. The state's Child Development Division, or CDD, decided to partner with researchers from the University of Vermont to learn more about the strengths and challenges of accessing the ECE system in Vermont. Specifically, the Child Development Division team wanted to know 4 things. 1. How many young children, ages 0 to 6, with disabilities are being suspended or expelled from early childhood education settings? 2. What supports are in place to help families of children with disabilities gain access to and remain in their early childhood education settings? 3. What are the barriers to including children with disabilities in early childhood education settings? And 4. What recommendations are suggested to improve the early childhood education system in Vermont to ensure inclusion and accessibility for children with disabilities? The research team worked with the Child Development Division to complete this work in a 3-month period. Information was gathered from many sources, including Vermont state leaders, professionals in the field, and parents. We're focused here on what was learned from parents of children with a disability that experienced suspension or expulsion from an early childhood education setting in Vermont. This work was determined to be quality improvement by the Internal Review Board of UVM. The authors share their findings from this project as an example of ways in which the experiences of those with lived experience of disability can be included in quality improvement initiatives that bridge evaluation and policy advocacy. Methods. The researchers worked with the Child Development Division to create a recruitment flyer for parents, inviting them to participate in a focus group. The flyer stated that the purpose of the research was to learn how Childhood Development Division could better support families and young children with a disability in their early childhood education setting. The flyer was shared through social media outlets and targeted email listservs. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all focus groups were held virtually. Parents were given the choice to complete an electronic survey or to participate in the focus group. Parents were offered $25 for their time if they participated in a focus group. Only 4 parents participated in a focus group, so they were interviewed individually. 16 parents completed the electronic survey. We're focused here on what was learned from those that completed the electronic survey. Who participated in the study? All 16 parents identified as female. 15 were moms. 1 was a grandmother. There were different kinds of moms represented in the sample. 9 were biological moms. That's 56.3%. 5 were adoptive moms. That's 31.3%. And 1 was a foster mom. That's 6.3%. 14 of the moms identified as white. That accounts for 87.5% of the total group. 1 identified as Asian, and 1 identified as Native American. All 16 parents identified as non-Hispanic. Their ages ranged from 24 to 55, with a mean age of 37.75. The standard deviation there is 6.97. Findings. Answering question 1. How many young children with disabilities are being suspended or expelled in Vermont? Here are the questions we asked parents, along with the percentage of their answers. Question 1. Were you successful in accessing childcare? 69%, or 11 parents, answered yes. 31%, or 5 parents, answered no. Did your child ever receive an in-school suspension? 56% of the parents, that's 9 parents, answered yes. And 44% of the parents, that's 7 parents, answered no. Did your child ever receive a soft suspension? 63% of the parents answered yes. That's 10 parents out of the group. 37% of the parents answered no. That's 6 parents. Was your child ever expelled? 56% of the parents answered yes. That's 9 parents total. 44% of the parents answered no. That's 7 parents total. And again, the full number of parents answering this survey was 16. Answering question 2. What supports are in place? In the survey, parents were asked to write in what supports they had access to in order to support their child in the early childhood education setting. The parent responses were categorized by the lead author based on similarity in content and theme. This process is called open coding. Parent responses fell into the following categories: individualized education plans, or IEPs, 19%. That's 3 parents. Case management, that's 13%, or 2 parents. And the rest of the parents answered none. That's 50% of the parents, or 8 total. Answering question 3. What barriers are in the way? 25%, or 4 parents, responded that it was a lack of childcare options for children with disabilities. 25%, or 4 parents, answered it was a lack of providers that will accommodate the child. And 3 parents, or 19%, answered that it was a lack of affordable childcare. Answering question 4. What recommendations did parents make for improving the system? The recommendations were as follows. 31% of the parents, that's 5 parents, recommended that providers' knowledge increase, including knowledge of trauma-informed practices. 19%, or 3 parents, recommended making it easier to access one-on-one aids. 2 parents, or 13%, recommended lower student-to-teacher ratios. 13%, or 2 parents, recommended increasing the number of providers, including those willing to accommodate children with disabilities. And 1 parent recommended increasing provider access to consultation services. Discussion. The researchers on this study gathered information from parents of young children with a disability, aged 0 to 6, who had experienced or were at risk for suspension or expulsion. A majority of parents reported that their child had been suspended or expelled. A majority of parents reported that their child and family did not receive any supports. The primary barrier to enrolling their child in an early childhood education setting is a lack of options. Parents provided a number of recommendations about how to make the system work better for them. In this project, the authors wanted to include the experience of parents of children with disabilities because the parents understand what is and is not working well. Those with lived experience have an important form of expertise that should be included when considering how to improve the early childhood education system in Vermont. For more information on the UVM Center on Disability and Community Inclusion and our Research in Brief RIB series, please visit go.uvm.edu/cdciresearch. For questions or comments on this research, please email cdciresearch@uvm.edu. The University of Vermont Center on Disability and Community Inclusion. We support, we teach, we study, we share, we connect. Find out more at go.uvm.edu/cdci.